Yo, what is going on, you guys? So today I'm bringing guys a brand new sports cards video. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down what I personally believe to be the future of the sports card market at this point. I know there's a lot of speculation, and by no means am I trying to say that I'm an expert or I know what's going to happen. This is personally my prediction based on stuff that I'm seeing in the market, some analysis that I've done, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. You guys can definitely go ahead, drop in the comment section below what you believe is going to happen in the next 6 to 12 months in the sports card hobby. Now, before we get into that, I do want to say, guys, please get me to 50,000 subscribers. We are on our way, and I would really greatly appreciate it if you guys could go ahead and drop a subscribe down below. I really appreciate all of that. I do put a lot of effort into the video, so it would really mean a lot to me if you guys could go ahead and subscribe to the channel. But without further ado, we are going to hop right into this video. So I've essentially been getting flooded in my Instagram DMs, people messaging saying, when do you expect the sports card market to bottom out and start to recover? Do you even expect the sports card market to recover? Do you think the sports card market is just going to kind of get swept under the rug and be forgotten about for years and years to come? And I do have a lot of kind of thoughts on this essentially topic, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is kind of where we've come and how we got here. Because of course, 2020, a lot of people, I would say credit a lot of the sports card market boom to the pandemic and people being at home and having a lot of time to spend investing in sports cards and buying up sports cards and getting back into their childhood hobby. Now, while that was a big part of the absolute boom to sports cards, we saw a lot of that start to happen even before the pandemic. In 2019, sports cards began to get really hot. Beginning in 2020, even before the pandemic, sports cards were already on pace to have an incredible comeback. And essentially, the sports card market really started to take off in March of 2020. That's when a lot of people came back into the hobby. A lot of shops started to open up, even though shows were down. eBay was booming, and we saw prices essentially just rise to unprecedented levels. People had never seen prices this high for collectibles in general, sports cards let alone. People were seeing $1 million sales, every week or two, and it was just a time where the market was expanding, right? There were so many people getting into the hobby that, supply could not keep up, and prices just kept rising. And I would essentially attribute a lot of this correction right now to just the hobby being too hot, right? Prices being kind of unsustainable, especially when players who weren't performing, their prices were too high. And so when they started to not perform, for example, like TJ Warren in the NBA bubble, when he was just going crazy, his prisms were going for $50-$60 ungraded. That was just a time where it was everyone could kind of tell at that point it was not going to sustain itself. A correction was bound to come. And so essentially a correction happened in 2021, even when the stock market was still doing pretty good. A correction started to happen. We saw a lot of prices come back down to earth. But then we were kind of in this point where, all right, some of these prices had corrected. But now what's next? What's going to fuel the hobby next? And at that point, we fell into a overall economical recession, where spending started to cut back. The overall economy started to hurt. A lot of people lost jobs, and it was just overall a very tough time for the U.S. economy. And now we have kind of entered that phase already. We are starting to see now the effects of the economy hit the sports card market on top of the overall market correction. So now there's some cards that are down, 5% of where they were before, 10% of where they were before. So there's a lot of different things coming in that have really hurt the sports card market. However, one big crucial thing that I've been looking at through all this chaos with the economy, with the sports card market correction, has been the overall interest in the hobby. Because I believe that the interest in the hobby is going to be what keeps the sports card market hot, and what allows it to recover when the overall economy recovers. Because let's be honest, I do not see a point in time where the economy's in a recession and sports cards are doing well. That is just simply, not possible in my personal opinion. I do not believe that, the sports card market will recover until the economy starts to recover. And so that is an overall more global economical statistics kind of analysis that I would have to do to give you guys that answer. But I'm going to be going based on what I believe to happen in the sports card hobby, because I believe when the economy does recover, maybe sometime next year, sometime the year after, I believe that's when the sports card market has a good shot to really, come back up and start to at least see a good amount of, price upside. And so I would definitely say that the overall hobby interest is there. There are a lot of people still going to shows. There are a lot of people still collecting. A lot of people who got in during the pandemic are still into sports cards because they love sports cards. And that is one thing that's been really positive. Overall, there are a lot of shows going on. I'm still seeing a lot of shows packed. Believe it or not, there's a lot of shows that are still kind of hitting capacity, a lot of lines still out there for shows, which is a great sign for the overall hobby, since these are mostly collectors. I'm seeing, a lot of collectors just heading to shows, buying cards they like, which is great to see for the overall, hobby. And I do think that when Fanatics comes in, I did make a video on this separately, but I do think when Fanatics comes in and really markets the sports card hobby to the general public, to general sports fans, I think that's going to be when we really start to see a tick up in sports card prices again. I do think there's a lot of upside given how down a lot of these cards are. I do think there's a lot of upside to be had in a lot of these investments. I'm personally not, I'm not one to go ahead and ask people to invest in sports cards or tell people to invest in sports cards right now, but it's something I'm personally doing. I know we're in a lot of times when prices are down, people are very hesitant and very scared and very fearful, and I would definitely say put your own personal life first, making sure you can survive this, especially if, a lot of companies are cutting jobs. So I would say that should be priority number one, but if you do have some extra money that you're willing to invest, and are willing to take a little bit of a risk right now, I believe it's a good time because of how low prices are. I believe it's a lot lower of a risk than if you were buying in during the peak, or if you're buying in, when interest was very hot and the economy was strong. I believe now is the best time to invest if you're going to invest, because if you were willing to buy a LeBron James Topps Chrome Refractor PSA 10 for $250,000 back then, why wouldn't you be buying in at $30,000 right now? Because the future of the sports card hobby is going to pretty much lie in the hands of Fanatics at this point. They acquired Topps. They're doing a lot of things. They just started hiring a CFO and a lot of other positions for their rollout into sports cards. So the hobby is pretty much in the hands of Fanatics at this point, and in the hands of the people who love sports cards, which I believe are never going to fail us. And so regardless, the future is going to stay the same. I do believe now is the best time to get in, given the prices are super low. Could the sports card market come down another 30-40%? Who knows, right? It very well could. What I'm personally doing is dollar cost averaging. I'm slowly investing back into sports cards, and I do believe we're going to start to see a time where it starts to bottom out. And as soon as cards start to bottom out and supply and demand meets the supply again, I believe that is when we could really start to see, as supply goes down, because naturally the people who are buying sports cards now are going to likely be buying to hold it for a little bit longer than people who were in it previously. And so when cards continue to hit the hands of people who are willing to hold it for longer, the supply goes down because there's less people on the market looking to sell that specific card. Now, when supply goes down, demand, even if it stays the same, you can start to see prices go up again. And so I'm waiting for that moment. I'm buying in slowly. I know it may take some time, but I'm personally don't want to miss out on when the market does recover. In general, the economy, I believe, is going to have a rough beginning of 2023. Of course, with interest rates and all of the things I can get into, but I'm trying to stick to sports cards. But I'm personally buying in slowly. I do believe by mid-2023, we're going to be in a lot better of a place, where hopefully inflation's at a lower rate, and we can start to see prices start to recover. And I do believe it could have a very strong recovery if we combine the economic recovery time with Fanatics coming in and really boosting the sports card hobby. I believe it could be a really fun time for the hobby, where we start to see interest kind of pick back up again, prices start to pick back up again. But once again, this is my personal belief. I'm one who's buying in over the next, 5 to 6 months and seeing what happens from there. I do believe it is a little bit of a higher risk, but given the prices are so low, I feel more comfortable and I feel like the upside and the reward is super high. So it's just an, investment class that I believe in the next year or two. So I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. Please go ahead and subscribe down below. Get us to 50,000. But other than that, I hope y'all enjoyed, and I'm out. Peace.